Has this ever happened to you?
I really want to see priceless works of art, but I also want to cuddle cats.
Well, now you can! History Heroes! I'm Tempest, and welcome to Time with Tempest, where today we're going to be talking about cats in museums. Are you done? Oh, you're just gonna sit there. Nice. And if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel to see what hidden history I uncover next. Now, let's begin our story. Cats have always been a vital part of our society, due to their ability to keep pests at bay and their role in mythology and culture. The Vikings brought them on their ships, and kittens were sometimes given as gifts to new brides due to their association with the goddess Freya. Monks and nuns in Europe kept them in their monasteries to guard precious manuscripts, and they sometimes even served as inspiration, though they also sometimes left their mark. And though today bodega cats are no longer prime pest control, they are a New York City staple and serve a smile along with sandwiches.
That's a great cat right there.
But let's talk about their ability to guard precious objects. As mentioned, monasteries kept cats for their manuscripts. In the Middle Ages, they flourished across Europe and held a vast quantity of important documents, records, books, and more. They had monastic libraries, which were the epicenter of knowledge and learning in a more illiterate world. Members of religious orders were often the most educated people in the land and spent countless hours reading. But not only were they reading the priceless manuscripts in their buildings, they were producing them. So it was critical that mice and rats didn't get into the highly edible vellum that was used in the production of manuscripts. Cats not only solved the problem, but they were well suited to the quiet life of a monk or nun. That's why, even today, you'll find cats in religious places like Canterbury Cathedral, where their antics always delight, and they continue the time-honored tradition of providing companionship and guarding precious objects. Without their preservation, we wouldn't have such treasures as Beowulf, the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, the ecclesiastical history of the English people, or many of the Norse sagas we know and love. And even when monasteries faded with time, or Oliver Cromwell, cats continued to provide a valuable service by protecting manuscripts and other objects in a different venue. Public museums began to pop up in Italy during the Renaissance, and manuscripts, books, and documents from monasteries were showcased in them, which means extra security was needed to preserve the highlights of humanity. Then, during the Age of Enlightenment, there was a boom in public museums, which leads us to our first museum. The Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, Russia, is perhaps the most famous cat-dwelling museum, and with good reason. They're the second largest art museum in the world, and as such, take care of 70 cats in their basement who keep any unsavory art lovers at bay. This tradition dates back to before the museum's founding, when it was actually a palace. Elizabeth, Empress of Russia, was a popular monarch during the Enlightenment, and loved nothing more than art and architecture. As such, she wanted to protect them from any harm, which meant that in 1745, she brought cats into the palace to live and work. And with the exception of World War II, the cats have remained in the palace ever since, even when it was turned into a museum in 1852. By the early 2000s, they were nothing more than a pack of 6 strays cowering in a basement for shelter. Then, the cat's now press secretary and a colleague discovered the cats and set about to take care of them. They started a campaign to feed them, and soon the story was appearing all over the papers. Unused rooms became a hospital for ill and elderly cats, and cozy places to sleep and eat. Of course, now that they were being fed, there was no need to hunt, but the mice remained at bay just because of the presence of these terrifying beasts. Instead of continuing their population through breeding, the museum continuously takes in stray cats, getting them spayed and neutered, and even adopting them out so they can continue to rescue as many cats as they can. Of course, keeping away rats isn't their only job. The Hermitage cats are a major tourist attraction and source of staff's high spirits. The cats also roam the former ladies-in-waiting chambers, which are now staff offices, and are often found on top of desks, bookshelves, and anywhere that looks cozy. Royal Canin provides them with free food, and they get a donation of €400 every month from Pro Animale. There's even a cat fest every year, where people submit their best cat paintings for contests, and children go on scavenger hunts for cat-related items in the museum, and even have their own adorable Instagram page, along with Facebook and YouTube. I will link all of their social media pages down in the description below. Now, let's take it back to the 1960s in London, England, when a swarm of stray cats broke into the British Museum. They started to breed and run rampant through the museum. At one point, there was over 100 cats, and something needed to be done. That's when a man named Rex Shepherd stepped in. He spayed and neutered the cats to bring down the population to less than 10. Then he formed the Cat Welfare Society at the museum and ensured their colony of cats was safe and healthy. Not only did they drive away mice and rats, but also the pigeons that were becoming a nuisance around the museum. Some could be found running along the shelves of the library, prowling for pests. Others prowled the entrance of the museum looking for pesky pigeons. They were also a major tourist attraction and became international celebrities and were even featured in numerous articles around the world. It helped that they had adorable names like Pippin, Maisie, Poppet, Wilson, and Susie. For decades, these cats protected the British Museum and were said to boost morale amongst the staff members at the museum. Sadly, in the 1990s, the museum decided against adopting any more cats, and thus, there are no more. That being said, there are still cats guarding historic places in the UK. Starting in 1515 with Cardinal Thomas Wolsey keeping his cat at his side when he was Lord Chancellor, cats have been in British government buildings for centuries. Though on an official basis, the practice began in the early 20th century. Historic places, such as 10 Downing Street, have a chief mouser. His name is Larry, and he, like all the other government cats, was adopted from the Battersea Dogs and Cats home. Now, reports do say he's more of a lazy house cat than a mouser, but he is, nonetheless, extremely popular and an important part of British culture. Gladstone is the chief mouser at Her Majesty's Treasury and is said to be quite good at his job. And Palmerston was the chief mouser at the Foreign and Commonwealth Office before retiring last August, after 4 years of occasionally doing mousing. However, Palmerston had other duties as well, which included appointing cat ambassadors to the British Consulate in Jordan and the British Consulate General in Turkey. Although many of these cats were taken in specifically for pest control, sometimes they're an added bonus, like the Hemingway cats, who reside in the Ernest Hemingway Home and Museum in Key West, Florida. When the famed author died, his home was turned into a museum, and his beloved Fat Feet cats continued to reside there. Still today, you'll find 50 descendants of his cats wandering the grounds and home who helped to protect his legacy and his things. They're taken care of by the staff and are so popular, the museum runs a 24-hour kitty cam so you can tune in and enjoy cute kitties any time of day. Plus, they feature prominently on their gift shop swag and social media pages, which I will link down in the description below. These are just some examples of cats in museums and historic places. All across the world, you'll find them protecting libraries, sacred buildings, and basically anywhere they're needed. Not only do they protect valuable objects and places from pests, but they provide companionship and cheer to those that live and work there. So if you want to guard valuable objects, or you just want a furry friend, adopt a cat. but just make sure that they're not around when you're writing a manuscript. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please remember to subscribe, distribute your delight, or leave your calling card in the comments below because the YouTube algorithm gods demand it. Until next time, stay curious, history heroes.